Hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira. I am your host, and I am very curious. How many of you are here for the first time? Drop 111 in the chat. And how many of you have been here for a while? You are a tried and true lover of Motivational Monday and the work that we do. You can drop 222 in the chat if that's you. I love getting to know what's going on, where you all come from. Also, if you want to put in the chat where in the world you're tuning in from too, I wouldn't be mad to learn that either. It's fun to see the map of who we are, where we come from, and what brings us here. Cool. Oh my gosh, we've got some diehard Life Guides fans. A lot of Arizona. We've got some South Dakota. Okay. I think that's Iowa, Virginia. Look at us. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. And I think Tatiana, our guide, might be the furthest from any of us. So it'll be cool. She is in Ecuador. So I'm excited for today's conversation. It is so nice to have you all here. Thank you for being here. It's officially spring, it's officially April, and we have officially transitioned into our self-esteem and self-image month for the month of April. So what we've done with the programming is we've really built it to build on itself. So we wanted this year to be a whole year of well-being overall, and we wanted it to be a place where you could grow, where you could show up, and where it could build on itself. So we started with sleep and hydration in January because that was incredibly important. Just the foundation of our health starts there, and the foundation of our well-being starts there. We did stress and anxiety management in February, and we dove in with that. And I'm curious, drop 333 in the chat if you have experienced benefits in your sleep, your hydration, or in your stress and anxiety management. Because I personally have, and that's why I put these conversations together. One, so that you all can get relatable, practical, good advice, tools to put into your life so that you can start seeing change. But also, it just so happens to work out that I end up getting the exact same thing from it all. So it's always exciting to watch my life evolve alongside all of yours, which I think is like a gift of the work that we get to do here together, is that you're not alone. You can see in the chat, a lot of us have experienced benefit from this work that we're doing together. So it's incredibly exciting. Last month was Women's Wellbeing Month, which was a great month. And now we've got our self-esteem and self-image conversation. So we have Tatiana here as our guide for today's conversation. You may have seen her before. We've done a few events together. We actually did last month's event together on the power of your intuition and reconnecting to yourself. And we are having today's Motivational Monday, but she's also hosting the deep dive with me on self-esteem and self-image in the end of this month as well. So I'll drop those links in the chat, but let me give Tatiana a little bit of an introduction. So, Tatiana's superpower is that she guides individuals through life's most challenging transitions, transforming pain into purpose and empowering them to find strength, healing, and renewal through holistic practices and compassionate support. Tatiana, we would love to hear from you about why this topic is important to you and maybe a little bit about your story of how it's become important to you over your lifetime.
Hello, everyone, and I'm so grateful to be here and able to share just a little bit of my own experience and my little bit of wisdom. So for me, self-esteem and self-image are kind of the grounding of who we are. Like the beginning is the way we see ourselves and the way we show in the world, and also is the way we present to the world, and that's the opportunities we get. Job opportunities, business, relationships. And when that our self-worth, our self-esteem is built from the outside, from the society, from social media, from family patterns, expectations, we get that. We get that from the world. We get the jobs that we don't want. We get into relationships that we're not happy to. So to me, reclaiming our power and our identity is like coming back home. The place that we one day left because we got all these program and these voices is literally just coming back home to your true self.
And maybe it's the first time coming back home to yourself too. If we'll hear about a little bit of the ancestral stories and things along those lines as we talk about today's session. But what we start to see is that if we have spent our entire lives being influenced by others and having the voice of others in our minds, then maybe this is the first time that we understand ourselves. And maybe it's the first time that we have a level of connection to ourselves that we've never had before. So it's really exciting to be having this conversation because I feel like we have learned how to trust others a little bit more than we've learned how to trust ourselves. But I feel like we've taken our self-image and our self-esteem and our self-worth from what others have determined for us instead of what we have determined for ourselves. And some of the questions that we can start to ask ourselves are, what qualities do we have that are amazing? Because it's very easy to compare ourselves to others. But what are the qualities within us that others compare themselves to? So don't forget your own greatness in trying to make yourself live up to the greatness of others because you are so uniquely created and devised to be exactly who you are. And there are qualities within you that no one else has, that people see from the outside looking in and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that. In a very similar way that maybe you look to others and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I not like that? And you can drop 444 in the chat if you relate to that. I've been in a season of a little bit more self-judgment than usual. And I'm like, wait, I'm great too. I'm great too. And it's a really good reminder of the fact that sometimes it's easier to see the greatness in others than it is to see in ourselves. But we've got to live with ourselves every day. So, with all of that, Tatiana, I know that you work with our guides. I know that you have your own private clients as well that you do this work with. And I'm curious if you can let us in a little bit on what are the stories that you typically hear from your members and clients regarding their self-image and their self-esteem.
So before I answer that question, I just want to say that what you share is beautiful and it's like literally we're shining the light to each other in those dark aspects that we can see and jump into what I usually hear from my clients and even for friends is like those dark places, those voices that tell us to get the jobs that we don't like or the relationships that we're supposed to get into it are coming really for a lot of people, a lot of my clients from ancestral, like from family. When they were little, like they don't remember at some point they start like having this little bit of awareness of like they're not living their authentic life and they're not in their power and like they start like digging in and they start seeing that it's coming from ancestral patterns like the grandmother, especially for like woman in different aspects is like the influence that our mother and grandmothers have over us and we hear those voices. So when myself and clients have start listening to that voices and saying, okay, it's been there for so long, like Kara says, like we thought that was real. That was the only thing. But then there is that light inside of us that we are stars and not stars from Hollywood, but literally stars. Like we have so many gifts and so much beauty inside to give. And when we just have the courage to bring awareness, those voices that they were there put into us, we start really saying, is this mine or this is not mine?
I have
Yes.
been in a season of my life, like I said, where there's been a little bit more self-judgment. And over the past couple of weeks, it's funny, my life typically follows the programming that we do here. So, right before we led up to the sleep and hydration month, I wasn't really getting sleep. Right before the stress and anxiety month, I was not peaceful. And now, before self-esteem and self-image, I've been noticing this inner critic inside of me thinking thoughts that people have never said to me out loud, thinking that people think certain things about me or say certain things about me, or just my own judgments of like, why did you say that? And why did you do it that way? And why are you like this, Kira? And it's been really interesting, maybe over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I noticed that that voice maybe wasn't mine, or maybe it was like a hurt version of myself. And as a default, what's been happening instead of being critical of myself, I laugh at myself and I giggle at myself and I've started taking myself a lot less seriously and being like, and giving myself permission to be myself. So I did something yesterday, nothing crazy. You know how like you're just chit-chatting with people and you're acting casual and then you walk away afterwards and you're like, why did I say that? But it wasn't even anything major and probably no one even acknowledged what you said and it wasn't a thing. But I walked away afterwards and I was like, oh, why did I do that? And then immediately, like, I don't even think that thought finished. And a new thought came in and I was like, oh my God, I love that I get to be myself and I love that people get to see me for me. And it's such a good reframing of the fact that I have permission to be me, and my permission to be uniquely who I am is not going to come from anyone else. It's going to come from me. So these are the stories that we start to get to rewrite now, is we start to get to understand that there's some voice in our head that is determining our self-image and our self-esteem. A lot of it is ancestral. A lot of women were taught how to be a certain way because their mothers and their grandmothers and their great-grandmothers were taught to be a certain way. A lot of men have been put in teeny tiny little boxes of what being a man is because their father and their great father and their great grandfather told them that was how they had to be. And this is the time where we get to really shed those boxes and we get to shed those self-imposed and also familial imposed limitations or societally imposed limitations and come into the place of balancing our own ego versus our own self-love. So, with this, the ego is really this idea that we're either better than or that we're worse than. And we that's typically what we default to. But if we start to focus on self-love, we develop a love for all parts of ourselves, our strengths and our weaknesses. So one of the reasons why I can love myself so fiercely is because I know what I'm great at and I know what I'm not great at. So no one can surprise me anymore. I know it all. I'm not a victim to it. I don't need to run away from it. I get it. So Tatiana, so you and I talked a lot about when we were planning for this, the ideas
Mm-hmm.
of comparison, things along those lines, like these ideas of who we should be and how we're supposed to show up. What are those stories that you typically hear that are contributing to the repetition of us living day after day, week after week, year after year, living in these stories?
So there's so many stories, but what Kira and I were talking about, especially as coming to relationships, we start comparing ourselves, what beauty is, how it should be beauty, whether it's makeup, heels, a strong man with muscles, and we start choosing relationships. And that's because I've been seeing on myself how all my life I've been choosing partners based on external circumstances and based on what my lineage and my mother and my grandmother say, get a relationship that is a responsible man, that is good looking, or is this or is that. But I never was told to tap into my inner self, like my body, and say, how do I feel with this person? How's my nerve system? Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel safe? Do I feel like I can be me, fully who I am? And that's the same with jobs or anything. I have gone in the past, go just get a random job because I thought that was the only choice I had. But no, how do I feel myself? I got sick in many jobs in the past. And the money, yeah, I pay my bills, but it was not worth it. So I think all of this is contributing in a way that is not positive to us too, because we choose relationships, we choose jobs, we choose friendships, and it's not because people are bad or good. But sometimes I gotta, let's say I meet a person and I just don't vibrate. I don't feel comfortable. It's just my body doesn't feel, and it's not a good person or a bad, but it's learning to see how I feel and be true myself, you know? So that's a big thing. And I think that's one of the things in the last few years I've been bringing to the awareness of tapping into my body and see how my body feels, how my emotions feel, how my nerve system feels around people, relationships, job opportunities.
Can I ask you kind of what those sensations are that you feel when you're doing the thing or being with the person or taking the job that you think is for you, that you've been told is what it's supposed to be, versus what are those sensations and how do you feel when it's actually coming from inside of you of, oh, this is me. This is what I want. This is where I'm meant to be.
Wow, that's a beautiful question. And I think we probably all are familiar with that because anxiety is right there for all, like, all humanity, you know? So we go, let's say, and enter a relationship and we feel anxious, we feel pain in our body, we can even have dreams, you know, like this inner voice that says, it's not, that's not the person, or that's not the job. And we choose because we're so in autopilot to say, no, this is the way it is. But no, that's not the way. That's the way we told it was. But is to come into our authenticity and our power and say, every time I choose myself and I choose to be 100% honest with myself, and it doesn't feel right. And it can be scary because you say, let's say if it's a job, and you say, yeah, I feel anxious. I didn't like the interview. I don't like the place, but I need the money, but that's another program. There's so much opportunities, especially now. You can grow your own business. You know, there's so many people to have relationships and friends. So if we start like just connecting with our intuition to listen to that anxiety, because that's not our enemy, is telling us something. It's all not, that's not the way. Let it go and trust. And there's going to be a fear. They're saying, no, but you're not going to get the job, but you're going to stay alone, but that's the guy or that's the girl. No, learn to, and it's like a game, you know, like it's like sometimes I even play with that. Like I go to places that I know. The other day I went to a place, I went to dance salsa because I'm living in Ecuador, a new place. But I know I like salsa, but I don't like bars. I don't like around people who are drinking. And I felt hours before I should have said my friend no. And I was like, oh, I went, and the next day I was hangover, but just because of the energy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, anything. But my energy is not made for that, to be in an environment where people are drinking, they're drunk people, they're smoking cigarettes. I was like, I can dance salsa in my living room. And that was a big lesson. And every time you get more in touch with your intuition and trusting yourself, you say, no, I cancel now. I'm not going to the salsa dance.
We do have to learn our lessons sometimes the hard way. And I think even Yvette's comment kind of leads to that. I'm always more optimistic and encouraging for others more than myself. I'm not sure why. We're learning the hard way that we're kinder to others than we are to ourselves. And that's not where we want to be. And speaking of environment, there are right environments for us and there are wrong environments for us. There are people who you have yet to meet who are so optimistic and talk so kind to themselves. And there is, I'm going to get a little nerdy, you all. So there's a study called epigenetics. There's genetics and then there's epigenetics. Genetics is your genes that you were born with, your hair, your skin, all the things. It can't change. Epigenetics is the study of how there's a whole entire part of your genetic expression that is able to change, and that is changed by your environment, the food you put in your body, the shows that you listen to, the people that you're around. And I speak about epigenetics because we've probably all heard you become the top 5 people that you surround yourself with. It's very, very true. And epigenetics shows that that's true because what you repeat and what you continue to put into yourself changes your genetic expression. I used to be an angry person. Now I'm a peaceful person because I started focusing on yoga and meditation and bettering my life in a lot of ways. So, Yvette, even with that, it might look like, ooh, how do I get around people who are more positive? How do I get around people who are more optimistic? How do I get around people who say kind things about themselves so I can learn that myself? And that's why Motivational Monday is a great place where you all can learn and hear positive things every Monday. We built this as basically a launch pad for you to have your life start to be built up in a really great way. But that's also where our guides come in as well, because sometimes it's hard to find those people. And our guides are literally built and bred to see your greatness before you see it and embed that vision of greatness into you in a way that you've never seen it before. So that's my little life guides plug, because we all need people, but the people that we put in our circles matter a lot. So And Brandy said it. She goes, I heard once, when asked what you love, how long until you list yourself? Are you writing out that list and you're not even on that? Maybe that's a really important place to start. So, Tatiana, as we start to look at how to transform these stories, what is some of the work that you do, or what are some practices that you bring to your clients and members to start to transform these inner stories?
So I have, to me, like three important points. First is the layer of awareness. Bring it to awareness because sometimes we hear those voices, and like I say, that's the reality. But if your life is not working, if you're an anxiety, if you're in a job that you hate, relationships, then you start questioning what is underneath all of this because I deserve better than this. So it's having that willingness to bring what is unconscious to your awareness. That can be with conversations, with a therapist, with your friends, with a life guide, with yourself too. I mean, you're always going to need someone else because you can't see parts of you that other people can help you. So bring it to awareness. Then tapping into your body, reconnect with your body. So it's reconnection with your body. Like I say, I feel a little weird, like I didn't want to go to that place, but I choose not to. And although I'm pretty much an expert on it, but I still fall in sometimes. It's reconnection with your body and trusting your body because the body is always speaking. And the third one is your personal values because the values you think they're your values, no, they're your values of your ancestors, of your grandparents, and your family, society. So reevaluate your values and see what is important to you in relationships. What do I want from a relationship? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel with jobs, with business, with anything? So I think those three are the basic layers of bringing those unconscious patterns to awareness.
And even talking about those values, for those of you who are listening, I would implore you to start looking at the ways that you can differentiate yourself. What are the ways that you're different? What are the ways that you're uniquely yourself? Because I know that I came into so much happiness in my life when I started realizing that I'm pretty different than most people. And I love that. And my values are different than most people's values. And it's fun because I thought that I would be ostracized and like left out for being different, but people are very curious. And I love people who are different than me. So start to bring diversity into your circle as well, and you'll see that we all have our own uniqueness and it'll give you more permission to be authentically you. So, Tatiana, as we have a few more minutes left, and I know that we wanted to do a meditation, can you walk us through a short exercise that'll help us gain more awareness about our inner worlds?
Yes, let's do a quick one. So I just invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable and bring your awareness to your breathing, to your body. And maybe bring to awareness if you feel any part in your body like heat or you're anxious or you're excited. As we talk about such a deep topic, something is moving inside of you right now. And it may be uncomfortable, but just dive deep into it. Don't be afraid of those parts. And then ask yourself, how many times have I compared myself to other human beings? Whether it's how they look or how much money they make, or they're in a beautiful relationship and my relationship is horrible, or I'm single, I'm worthless. And from that place, feeling that part of your body, reconnecting to your body, as you take a nice deep breath, inhale through your nose, And exhale through your mouth, making a little bit of sound. Just one more time. You're gonna make a little bit more of sound. You're gonna make that sound vibrating that part of your body, moving that energy with your own vibration. So inhale. Ah. Now you can just open your eyes and start connecting with your body. Your body talks.
I love when we do this. I love even just taking a couple of minutes for a meditation. If y'all want to drop in the chat anything that came up for you, we'd love to hear. Um, but one thing that maybe came up during that as well is if you have a voice in your head that's telling you to do something that you keep not doing, maybe start listening to the voice because as Tatiana said, it can show up as anxiety. And for some of you, you may have felt like a clenching in your heart, or maybe like an egg in your throat, or maybe even like a blockage in your mind from being able to see possibilities. And we have an ability to start to change that. So thank you so much, Tatiana, for that wonderful exercise. I love Motivational Monday because we have the opportunity to bring really great guides into the conversation. And we have maybe like 30 seconds left, Tatiana, before I have to close this out. Do you have any final words for those who have been on today's session?
Yes, I do have, because I hear this so much from clients when they come and they say, I'm so afraid to do this, and I have been procrastinating. And yes, I ask you to listen when are you procrastinating and when you're not ready, and to honor either way. You know, sometimes the things we have to dive into our body and voices are very, it can be scary. So honor yourself. But if you're procrastinating because of fear, just keep walking with fear and trust that that higher self, that gift, that beauty that you have inside, that light is more powerful than anything, because you're not the fear. And one thing I always remind myself, whatever happened to me in the past or now, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me, because I'm so powerful and I'm such a powerful light that I know I can overcome everything. And I'm playing this game. I'm the dream, I'm the dreamer, so I can get out of it. And I can create something beautiful out of all of this.
So
So, yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I'm sorry to cut you off. We just have zero
That's
seconds
okay.
left, but everything you said is of so
Fast.
much value. And if you wanted more from Tatiana, if you don't want to hear her stop talking, if you're like, wait, this woman is full of so much wisdom, I want to listen to her and I want her support, I just dropped her profile in the link or in the chat. I also dropped our link tree in the chat as well, so you can register for the deep dive and the deep dive mentorship that we're doing together at the end of the month, where you'll be able to get even more personalized work and a deeper dive into the self-esteem and self-image work that we do. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. There's a survey that pops up at the end. If you want to leave any love letters for Tatiana, I will make sure that they get to her. And thank you so much for allowing us to start your week on a positive note. And I hope that this energy trickles out throughout the rest of your week. Have a beautiful week, everyone, and we will see you next one or next Monday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.